What's up guys, Jack here. I've got a lot to show today. The theme is all tech that is under that $200 or pound price point. We looked at some under 100 tech not that long ago. Check that out if you missed it. There's some great budget buys in there. But even under 200, there's some surprisingly great stuff you can get. One of them is an actual phone, and it is incredible what you get for the price. So yeah, stick around for that. As always, links to everything are in the description. Let me know your favorites down in the comments. So let's get straight into it. First up, we have a power bank and a charger from Anker's new High Power Essentials collection. And these are perfect for your more power hungry tech. Think your MacBook or iPad, as well as all of your smaller devices, as these have multiple outputs for charging a bunch of gear all at once. They both come in space black or silver. The power bank is about the size of one of those like tall, skinny drink cans for reference. And this has some pretty unique features. You don't get any cables in the box. Instead, it has two built-in cables so that you always have them with you. There is one up top, which is USB-C, and it is retractable up to 70 centimeters. So that is a nice decent length if you are using this at your desk. On the side, we've got this loop, which also doubles as a second sneaky USB-C cable at 30 centimeters. Pretty strong too. Anker says that it supports up to 20 kilograms of weight. Don't worry, the power bank doesn't actually weigh that much, although it is 600 grams, so it is definitely more of like a backpack power bank. Then we've got an actual C port on the side, plus an A port for any legacy devices or older cables that you've got lying around. Going over some stats, this has a 25,000 mAh capacity with a max total output of 165 watts when using all ports at the same time. That's up to 100 watts from any C cable or port, which is fast enough to get an iPhone 16 or a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro to 50% in around 30 minutes. And then 33 watts max from the A port. These limits do start to change as you start plugging more devices in and the power starts to get shared between them. But another great feature is that smart display. And I love this. It tells you everything that you need to know. You can check the current capacity with the side button. You can cycle through to see how much each port is outputting, monitor the temperature and the battery health, even see the estimated time it will take to recharge itself. And it recharges pretty quickly. Every C port has a 100 watt input, so a full recharge takes around an hour and 45 minutes. Not bad for such a beastie power bank. Then with that 25K capacity, this will easily get you through the day, topping up your bigger devices or getting you multiple recharges for all of your smaller tech. And at 90 watt hours, this also sits under the 100 watt hour limit that most airlines have when flying. So yes, you can take it with you on those longer journeys in your carry-on. Just always check your airline rules before flying. You should definitely pair it with their new charger. This supports power delivery 3.1 with a max output of 140 watts. That means that it can fast charge a 16-inch MacBook Pro at full speed, just as fast as Apple's own charger in the box. It is slightly thicker, but it has a smaller footprint overall with folding US or UK prongs. This has 3 USB-C ports along the bottom side and an A port, so you can recharge 4 devices all at once. And you do get a 1.5 meter braided USB-C cable in the box. You'll get up to 140 watts from the C1 or C2, 40 watts from the C3, and 33 watts from the A port individually. Then 140 watts shared across all ports as you start to plug in more devices. That port placement is a little bit awkward as you do kind of have to reach under the charger to plug things in at the wall, unless you've got one of those like vertical plugs at a desk. But there is a good reason for that, as this too has a smart display. On the main screen, you can see the total output of all the ports combined, and then with this touch-sensitive button, you can cycle through to see a list of each individual port, and even see how much of the potential max output that you're using for that port. And it can get a bit messy trying to remember all of the stats for each port, so this just makes it so much easier. And remember that most devices only fast charge for the first 50% or so you will see those wattages start to drop as the device on charge starts to near 100%. You can get them both in a bundle for under $200 or get them individually, and they're great buys for your most power-hungry tech. Very sleek looking designs. I love that matte black finish, and those smart displays are just the icing on the cake. I love being able to see all of those stats. Next up, I really didn't think I'd be revisiting the PlayStation Portal in a video, but this just had an amazing update. Before, this was basically just a glorified PS5 accessory. you had to have a PlayStation 5 in order to be able to do anything with it. It doesn't have the hardware for running games locally on device. Instead, you had to run the game on your PS5 and then stream it wirelessly to the portal. This was essentially just a wireless screen for your console so you could play somewhere else in the house, maybe go and lie in bed or just chill in another room. But now with the latest software update, if you have a PlayStation Plus premium subscription, you can bypass the PS5 entirely and stream a game directly from Sony's game catalogue to the portal. And there are a good selection of games. It's not the exact same catalogue as you can stream to the PS5, at least not yet. It is still technically labelled as a beta, but it has been expanding in recent weeks, and I'm guessing the goal here is to have parity between the two. The cloud streaming works really well too. Requirements-wise, Sony says that you'll need a minimum 30 megabits per second download speed for 1080p streaming at 60 FPS, or 7 megabits per second for 720p. I am fortunate to have fibre broadband, so I've not run into any issues myself. It works really well. I've played a bit of Spider-Man, some Ratchet and Clank, some old Tomb Raider games. There is some inevitable input lag, as with all game streaming, but it really is very minimal. Like, I've been playing some platformers that really need some precision to land the jumps, and it has been fine for that. And I do think that this is just the best way to remote play your games. You get a nice big 8-inch LCD display that is still crisp even at 1080p. The controller is amazing. It is basically a DualSense that has been split in two, so you get full-size buttons and triggers. You get haptic feedback and the same adaptive triggers, which adjust the resistance as you pull on them, so different weapons feel different to use. And since launch, and since my review, they have also added ways to authenticate and join public Wi-Fi networks, so you can use the portal in more places away from home. Adding direct cloud streaming makes the portal just a way better buy, as you don't need to own a PS5 anymore. You can get the standalone for $200 plus a PS Plus premium subscription. It also makes this Sony's first step into like a cloud-only gaming device for those that want it. But I would still very much like to see Sony have another go at making like a proper portable console again that can natively run graphically scaled down PS5 games. I think that would be a real hit. Next up, it's the AirPods Pro 2. Now, technically, yes, they are just above £200, but they are pretty consistently discounted to around $190 or even $180 if you can pick them up in a sale. And these are by far like one of my all-time favourite bits of tech. And I know that sounds a bit like ridiculous for some earbuds, but for the amount that I use them and the amount of features that keep getting added, it just makes them one of the best things that I've ever bought. They're my go-to earbuds. I take them literally everywhere and I use them every day. I love the sound quality and even more so the active noise cancellation, which just works like magic. I use these in the gym to focus on my workout, on the train or plane to watch a film. I've been known to sleep with them in and pretty much use them as earplugs. The noise cancellation really is that good. Back in the summer, Apple added nodding gestures so you can respond to Siri or a notification by shaking your head if you don't want to talk. Then more recently, they added the ability to take a hearing test where you tap on the screen every time you hear the AirPods play some tones at various different frequencies and volumes, and it will give you a hearing report at the end. But if you do have some moderate or more severe hearing loss, you can now use these as actual hearing aids to amplify the sounds around you. And although that is not a feature for me, those that need it say that it works pretty well. And I think that is so cool that a piece of consumer tech like this can be used to help so many people. They just keep getting better and better. They're consistently under 200 quid. And if you're okay with silicone tips, on sale they are the same price as the AirPods 4 with noise cancellation. But with the Pros you get better noise cancellation, an extra hour of listening time, and those new hearing health features. You really can't go wrong with them, especially if you've got multiple Apple devices as they seamlessly switch between them. I love them. Now I'm sure you've probably heard about the 16E, Apple's new budget entry-level iPhone. Well, that starts at $600 or pounds, so yeah, that won't be making this list. But instead, I have this to show you. This is the CMF Phone by Nothing. This starts at just $200 or £170 here in the UK. And you get a lot of smartphone for such a low price. You get a 6.67-inch Super AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate. The iPhone 16e could never. It looks crisp, sharp, and it's buttery smooth. It has an under-display fingerprint reader, an 8-core CPU with 8 gigs of RAM. This phone feels remarkably responsive, jumping around apps and moving through the OS. A 50-megapixel rear camera with a second sensor used for depth mapping. It's not the best camera out there, but it does the job, and it is certainly not bad for the price. The same goes for that 16-megapixel front camera in that hole punch at the top. It is good enough for those daily snaps and selfies. Then it's all packaged in this very functional design, they're not trying to hide the screws or the seams, and for good reason. You can completely just remove the back of this phone if you get bored with the color and swap it out for another, like we're back in the early 2000s. And then they have this whole ecosystem of accessories that you can mount to this modular design. So you can add a kickstand if you watch a lot of videos, add a lanyard if you're going out to take a load of photos, a backplate with a detachable magnetic wallet for your bank cards and ID. It feels kind of industrial. It does have a plastic build, but it doesn't feel flimsy in the hand. And I just love the whole look of it, especially those orange accents and accessories. And you don't have to worry about the whole back smashing if you do drop it, like with some other smartphones. Overall, it's just a very functional device that runs smoothly if you need something on a budget. Very good also as a second phone or even a travel phone if you need a spare. There's really only two downsides. There is no wireless charging here, at all. You have to charge via that C port. And also no NFC, meaning there's no way to add a card to the Google Wallet for mobile payments on the go. So you are going to need to carry your cards with you or stick them in that wallet on the back. Nonetheless, this is an incredibly capable phone for under 200 quid. I'd also highly recommend the CMF Buds with noise cancellation as well, which I also mentioned in my under 100 video. Next up, this is the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro. And it turns your phone basically into your own personal camera operator or assistant, particularly if you're into your content creation or shooting travel videos or vlogging. And this has so many features, so buckle up. First and foremost, this is a smartphone gimbal. It stabilizes your footage as you're walking about, shooting video. You can pan and tilt the camera and pull off all sorts of camera moves and shoot from angles that you just can't do handheld. Be it a crane shot to do a reveal, you can shoot down low to get a different perspective, or do a barrel roll like this, which, isn't happening handheld unless you've got some very nimble wrists. It's a great tool for filmmaking on a budget. You can track a subject in the app with Deep Track 4.0 by just drawing a box on screen. You can also choose where in the frame you want them to sit for some better shot compositions off to the side to show off more of the background. Then for self-shooting, it gets even better. It has built-in tripod legs, so you can set it down anywhere. Or for more height, you can mount to a full-size tripod using the thread underneath. You can start and stop recording remotely with gestures. This has a full 360-degree rotation, which you can then combine with the subject tracking to have it follow you around a space as you move around, even if you run really awkward like me. And if something moves across the frame and blocks you from view, it'll find you again and continue tracking. Very smart stuff. And this is just some of the stuff the Flow 2 Pro can do. It also works with Apple Dock Kit for tracking in the native camera, or third-party apps like Instagram for live broadcasts. If you're recording yourself with the better quality rear camera, well, there's now a mirror on the back so you can check yourself out and sort out your hair. It even doubles as a power bank when you're getting low. Seriously, they have packed so many features into something that folds up and fits into your pocket. And it's so quick to deploy. Your phone attaches with this clamp or a MagSafe mount for the iPhone. Just stick it on, unfold, and a notification pops up taking you straight to the app. It's probably one of the most versatile accessories that I've used for less than 150 quid. Even with the accessory bundles, it is still under 200. It is a top buy for anyone that shoots a lot of video with their phone. Then to pair with it, if you've got an iPhone 15 Pro or 16 Pro and you want to shoot in Apple Log for the best image quality with ProRes, then you're going to want to hook up to an SSD to avoid filling your phone up in literally minutes. This is my favorite one right now simply because of how small it is. This is an SSD from LEXAR. It plugs straight into the USB-C port. So now in the native camera, the Blackmagic camera app, or even the Insta360 app with the Flow 2 Pro, you can shoot your Apple Log footage straight to the SSD. It's so small and light so it doesn't get in the way or affect the Flow 2 Pro if you are shooting with that. There's an option for getting it with this little nifty hub, so you can still have access to the C port for plugging in other accessories when you're using the SSD. I have the 2TB version, but the 1TB with the hub is still under 150, and it is just an all-round great buy if you need a lot of storage capacity in a small and portable form factor. And of course, you can use it with your Mac and iPad too for storing and moving files. Okay, one more thing to show you. This is the K3 Max. I've been trying out different keyboards recently, and this one that Keychron very kindly sent over has kind of taken my attention. It's a mechanical keyboard. I went with a config of brown switches for a nice tactile feel. They're not too loud or clicky, but they do strike a nice balance of responsiveness for typing or gaming, although I've not used it for that too much yet. And this is how it sounds. This setup has the fancy RGB lights with a bunch of different settings and patterns. It's compact with a 75% layout, pretty slim too. Keychron says that this is one of the slimmest wireless mechanical keyboards out there, so you can easily tuck it under your desk shelf when you're not using it. It supports Bluetooth 5.1 for connecting up to 3 devices, as well as a 2.4 GHz wireless connection with a 1000 Hz polling rate for gaming. Or of course you can plug it in with USB-C and just use it as a wired keyboard. You get a dark grey finish across the keycaps with a bright orange escape key that gets bonus points from me, and a row of function keys up top that work with macOS shortcuts. This config with the brown switches and the RGB lights comes in at just over 100 quid. Those are my top tech picks for that 100 to 200 quid price bracket, and I do have some longer reviews on many of these if you do want to check those out. And as always, the links to everything are down in the description. Let me know your favourites, or if there's something I've missed that you think I should check out, drop it in the comments. Leave a like if this video helped you out, subscribe and hit the bell to see more tech videos from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.